Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Look, Jaron Boots Ennis finally has a fight coming up very soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm surprised to hear how many people think Jaron Boots Ennis, who's going to be fighting Roman Villa on July 8th, how many people think that this is a bad fight for Jaron Ennis. Now, when I say bad fight, I don't mean like a fight Jaron Ennis can't win. They feel like this is a fight that's a waste of time, a fight that does nothing for his profile. People are upset at Jaron Boots Ennis, not everybody, but the vast majority, for taking a fight with Roman Villa. Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, Roman Villa is a good fighter. He beat Rashidi Ellis in a fight where, most thought he was being outboxed and behind on points. But he showed that late in the fight, he has stamina and he has power. And he ended up tranquilizing Rashidi Ellis. And Rashidi Ellis was the individual who they were trying to build up to get him and Jaron Boots Ennis in the ring before Jaron Boots Ennis goes on to fight either Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence, one of the big names at 147, right? But that being said, he's going to be defending his interim IBF welterweight title against Villa. And they're going to be headlighting on Showtime. Now, we know that Jaron Boots Ennis, he didn't want to be on the Davis Garcia undercard. Jaron Boots Ennis feels like he's a headliner. And he was trying to do something on his own, I think out there in New Jersey, somewhere in a casino out there on the East Coast, right? Which, in my opinion, was just horrible. And I think he should have been on the Garcia Tank undercard as a co-main because of how many eyes were on that fight. And you look at the rumored pay-per-view buys, 800,000 to 1.4 million. That's a lot more than what we've seen with any other fight here in the last couple of years. Now, what I'm getting at is, if Ennis beats Roman Villa, who is a very lively opponent, right? He's going to be elevated to the full-blown IBF champion in 2024. Now, I'm going to tell you right this, like I said, on social media, look, people just see him as a cab driver opponent. And the Venezuelan Roman Villa is not a cab driver. He can actually bang, man, and he's very dangerous. And I'll tell you what, outside of Keith Thurman, Virgil Ortiz, I think Roman Villa is a perfect opponent for a guy like Boots Ennis. Because one thing about Roman Villa, he's not going to run. He's not going to be in there trying to tickle you. He's coming in there to bang. And this is what makes the fight interesting. The Jaron Boots Ennis has said that he likes to take hits, meaning he likes to get hit. When he gets hit in a fight, he enjoys it. Don't know what the hell that's about. Maybe he likes the fact of it being competitive, and that's what he's alluding to. He can't afford to take shots from this Venezuelan. Like, you got to have a strategy. You can't just decide you want to walk in and try to walk someone down and take their shots. That's just bad medicine. Even when you look at Canelo, when he was fighting Ryder here the other week, Canelo, was winning the fight. He hurt him, but there were some shots that Canelo took unnecessarily when he was just trying to walk him down. But then Canelo started trying to move his head a little bit more. But I think that's more Canelo just a lot of wear and tear and not being able, his reflexes and reaction time isn't the same as what it was. But what I'll tell you this right now is about Boots Ennis. I personally think the support for him has plummeted a bit. His marketability has plummeted a bit. And I think his dollar demand has plummeted a bit. And all of that happened as a result of him getting a win. Normally when you see that happen to a fighter, it's as a result of them taking a loss. But that's not what you saw happen with Boots Ennis. In a win, he had to struggle with his dollar demand diminishing, his fan demand diminishing, and some other areas. Now, the reason for that is because I think everyone's expectation for him was so high. But I'm going to tell you what I think went wrong with Jaron Boots Ennis, and I've said this before. he got caught up in what a lot of these fighters get caught up with just trying to impress people. He showed up to the damn, what's the guy he fought, Chikadzian, right? He shows up to the fight in the damn, what was it, the Bentley truck, a Rolls Royce truck. He's got on all this jewelry, all this fancy ass clothes. He went out there looking like a damn rapper. He didn't look like an athlete. And that's what happened. He got caught up in the moment, and he went out there looking to do something spectacular. He was even shouting the people outside the ring while he was fighting. That's like a mistake. He's not Mayweather. He's not Tank Davis. And while he was in that fight, he got embarrassed because he couldn't stop the opponent. The opponent was making him look amateurish. And the opponent was popping and snapping his head back too. But I think he learned from that. But I do think he went in there trying to do something with the fans in the back of his head. And that's a mistake. You can't come into the fight and get in that ring and be thinking so much about what I'm going to do here and the reaction I want from the fans. Now, I know in the crowd when Tank Davis fought Hector Garcia, I understand they were out there not too far from Jaron, Ennis' hometown. I get some of the different people in the crowd. I understand the makeup of the crowd, and I understand him wanting to play to it. I get that, but hopefully he learned his lesson, because he went out there, he didn't hold his horses, he took it to the stupid, and although he got a win, he ended up, the end result with his profile was as if he took a loss. So that being said, we're going to see what happens now. It's a 12-round fight, and it's definitely, in my opinion, Roman Villa. It's a massive upgrade to Chikadzian. And anyone who thinks I don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go and look at the highlights of Villa, look at highlights of Chikadzian. You're going to see totally different styles, and you're going to see two guys with totally different power levels. Now, I'm going to tell you this with Chikadzian, the whole thing about cutting off the ring, Boots got exposed, right? But I get it. With some boxers, don't matter how much you chase them down and cutting off the ring, that's just not something that is realistic. It's hard to do that with master boxers. But Boots didn't show in that fight that he had any idea on how to start off trying to cut the ring off. So that's Boots' fault. But it sounds like they worked on those things in camp. But I'm going to tell you this right now, when it comes to Chikadzian, man, I think Chikadzian will go on and do great things in his next fight. But for Roman Villa, I'm going to tell you right there, man, that upset win that he got over Rashidi Ellis, that earned him those credentials to get that fight with Boots Ennis. Now, if Boots beats Roman Villa, his profile, I think it just goes up a little bit. If Roman Villa beats Boots Ennis, Roman Villa is out of here. He's gone. You know what I mean? He's going to find himself in a big money fight. It's kind of like when Austin Trout beat Miguel Cotto. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really expected that, but he beat him. And then Austin Trout had a pretty good run, making some good money. But we're going to see what happens, because we know what Boots in this, he just wants money, he wants the titles, he wants Earl Spence, he wants Terrence Crawford. Look, Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford are busy. Those guys are busy. It's about to start raining out here. They're busy. Now to the end of the year, coming into next year, they may be busy as well. I think the next opponent, if Boots Ennis can get past Roman Villa, I think the next opponent for him, look, it may be Keith Thurman. Because really, what's there for Boots Ennis? You know, when we really think about it. What is there for Boots Ennis if he beats Roman Villa? So we're going to take a look at it, because, you know, that's what we do here. And let's see what's really out there for Boots Ennis. While I'm pulling that up, I'm kind of set the stage for, you know, Keith Thurman's coming back. He's got four opponents that have been shared with him, and he's just trying to see who's available. But we don't know who Keith Thurman's fighting yet. But we know Keith Thurman is going to be fighting in August. So now, let's really take a look to understand what Boots Ennis has. Now, if Boots Ennis wins and he beats Roman Villa, he becomes the full-blown IBF welterweight champion, right? So let's just scroll down here because we got to understand how this works. Now, for Boots Ennis, let me make this larger. Let's just focus on the IBF column right here, okay? Right there in the middle. See that red column? Well, with the red heading, this is the IBF. When you look at Boots Ennis, right, he should be getting a shot at Errol Spence. But Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are going to be tied up to the end of this year and maybe into the first quarter of 2024. So right now it's June, July. Shit, Boots Ennis, he can't sit around from July to August, September, October, November, December. That's 5 months. In January, February, March, April. That's another 4. You can't sit around for 9 months doing nothing, waiting for a shot at Spencer Crawford for them to get through their trilogy. Now, what I will say is, if he beats Roman Villa, then this is what he's going to have to look at. He's going to have to fight some of these guys in the IBF column. There's a guy named Ivan Golub. Anyone know who that is? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who that is. Cody Crowley, I know who that is. Mario Barros looks like he's going to be fighting Jordanis Ugas. If he wins, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Barros, but I think he's going to fall up underneath the WBC column because he is and Ugas are fighting for the mandatory spot for the WBC title, which they'll probably put them against Cody Crowley. But Cody Crowley is just in the breeze right now. So we're going to see what's going on with the politics because Crowley is a mandatory to the WBC right now. But he could end up fighting. This is what's so interesting. Boots Ennis could end up fighting Crowley or the winner of Barros and Ugas. But then if you come down after that, you got Iko Essuman, Jamal James, Rashidi Ellis. Could fight him. Avanisi and Chikai already fought him on things. Alexis Rocha. But bottom line is when you look at the names for Jaron Boots Ennis, you don't see anybody of the caliber of a Keith Thurman. You definitely not Spence and Crawford. It's just a kind of, it's a kind of roll of the dice. But he's going to have to fight somebody from this IBF column because that's what he's going to have to do. And when you look at the names there, he could be fighting Rashidi Ellis. Let's just be real. He could be fighting Rashidi Ellis after Roman Villa if he beats Roman Villa. And, who would want to see him fight Rashidi Ellis? That's all I'm saying. So that's what realistically he's looking at. But they're not going to force a fight with Spence, not when him and Crawford have the rematch and potentially a third fight. That's just not something that's going to work out. But that being said, man, we'll see what happens with Boots Ennis. We'll see if he can get to Roman Villa, and we'll see if he can help breathe some life back into his profile. Because I personally think his profile took a significant hit. But we'll see come fight night and the subsequent fight. That being said, leave your comments below. Let me know your opinion on what you think. Other than that, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Try to get about 10 more videos out here before I go fishing. And I'm in the breeze.